Thank you for joining us for News 3 Now at 5:30. We've got a few stories coming up, but first let's go ahead and get a look at your first one forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze, things were a little bit toastier today, weren't they?
That's right. Certainly we were feeling that heat and humidity, but now we are going to be really cooling on down for this evening. But we're still not done with the heat and humidity. Through Monday afternoon, we're still going to hold on to the alert day conditions. We do have a heat advisory because we are anticipating those heat index values to get anywhere between 100 and 105 degrees on Monday. Again, still looking at a major risk from heat. This is taking into effect how the heat is going to impact, say, folks who maybe have trouble breathing in more stagnant air, who don't have adequate AC, the young, the elderly. So that's why we have that major risk from heat on Monday, as temperatures actually climb into the upper 80s to low 90s, but it is going to feel like the low 100s, triple-digit heat index values for most of us as we go into Monday. Tuesday, we start to cool off just a little bit. It is still going to be humid, but we finally do start to feel some relief as we go into Wednesday and further Thursday of the upcoming work week. There's a look at that heat advisory. Pretty much if you are watching us right now, you are underneath that heat advisory until 8 p.m. on Monday. Continue to drink plenty of water to stay hydrated tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. Stay cool as well, as some of us may not even slip below the mid 70s tonight. So it is going to be a humid one out there, Jalen. We could be dealing with some thunderstorms as we wake up on Monday. We'll time out those as well as a few more rain chances this week in the full forecast.
You might want to get that first one weather app to keep up with all of that. Thank you, Blaze. The Rock County Sheriff's Office arrested a Beloit man Saturday after he allegedly drove drunk and crashed into a ditch in the town of Porter. Deputies are dispatched to the intersection of North Tolles Road and West Church Street just after 2 p.m. An initial investigation revealed a truck was northbound on North Tolles Road, approaching the intersection when the driver lost control, resulting in the crash. The driver was identified as a 50-year-old Beloit man. The sheriff's office reported the man showed signs of possible intoxication and was arrested for his fourth OWI, this time resulting in a felony. The man was taken to the Rock County Jail and is scheduled for jail court on Friday. The Iowa County Sheriff's Office arrested 2 people in separate operating while intoxicated crashes over the weekend. The first crash occurred in Dodgeville, where the Sheriff's Office responded to a crash on Saturday night at 8:30 on State Highway 191 near McGraw Road. A 36-year-old Dodgeville man was arrested for the charges listed on the screen. The second crash happened in the village of Linden shortly after 1:50 a.m. on Sunday morning. Deputies were called to the crash on Main Street. The Sheriff's Office reported a 42-year-old Lancaster man was found to be drunk and was taken into custody. He was charged for operating while intoxicated and resisting or obstructing an officer. In the state capitol, a couple of new bills circulating. One would ban apps owned by foreign countries from any state devices. This is essentially an expansion of the TikTok ban for state-owned devices that Governor Ivers signed into executive order 2 years ago. At the same time, another bill circulating in the Capitol right now would allow those who receive gender-affirming care while they were under 18 the ability to sue the doctors who provided that health care. Both bills could be introduced later this year. Wisconsin Capitol Police are working to identify a shirtless man who attempted to enter Democratic State Representative Priscilla Prado's home Monday night. This comes amid increased security to Lawmaker security after 2 Minnesota state lawmakers were shot last month. In a statement, Prado shared that it was deeply unsettling and it was an experience that wasn't quite fond of, and that she is grateful that no one was injured. At the same time, members of Congress will get additional money for their security, according to a memo put out by Wisconsin Congressman Brian Stile. Stile chairs the Committee on House Administration and outlined in that memo that members of Congress will get more money to spend in in-home security equipment, a short-term boost to hire security guards, and expand local law enforcement agreements so that law enforcement can provide additional coverage if there is a threat. And a former member of Congress returned to Wisconsin. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy spoke at EAA Air Ventures on Tuesday, unveiling a sweeping update to FAA regulations. The new rule would impact recreational pilots, and it will throw out certain weight limits to allow for more advanced designs. Duffy says it will bring the industry to a, quote, new age.
We just finalized a major reform that's going to make recreational flying safer, more accessible, and far less red tape to tie us up in.
And staying in Wisconsin, the story dominating the headlines this week, Governor Ivers announcing he will not seek a third term in office. Now, this will leave a wide open primary for the Democratic nominee for governor. The first Democratic option to jump in the race, Ivers' Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez. She appears to have been ready to jump in the race for more than a week ago, based on the timestamp for when her campaign uploaded a press release to the internet announcing a run. But her official launch came just days after Ivers' decision. Rodriguez made the announcement through a campaign video.
Getting into politics was never part of my plan, but I saw a broken system and decided to do something about it. So I ran for state assembly and won, representing parts of Milwaukee and Waukesha, where I fought back against abortion restrictions and worked to make life just a little bit easier for Wisconsin families.
In other news, Madison Music Foundry highlights its variety of programs during its student showcase. Performers showed off their skills at the High Noon Saloon, which was filled with friends, family, and local music enthusiasts. Alum from the Foundry have gone on to perform nationally, as well as at local venues and events. Organizers say part of what makes the event special is its ability to showcase their wide range of students.
The cool thing about it is it's all ages. It's quite literally young kids, maybe 7, 8, all the way to adults, even to retirees. The majority of the students today will be youth, a lot of middle schoolers, but we'll get whole families up there. Sometimes we'll have parents playing with their kids.
Close to 100 performers took to the stage to show off all that they've learned. Coming up next on News 3 Now, new rules for how much you can deduct in charitable contributions. And the U.S. reaches a trade agreement with the European Union. The details after the break.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5:30.
Thank you for staying with us. New tax rules for charitable donations are ahead. Starting next year, how you donate will affect your tax break deductions. Standard deduction filers can write off up to $1,000 in cash gifts, $2,000 for joint filers. That's double the old pandemic era limit. Non-cash gifts like clothes or food will face stricter limits. Those who itemize their deductions will, for the first time, be allowed to deduct their cash contributions only to the extent they exceed 0.5% of their adjusted gross income. The new tax rules are set to take effect in 2026. Heads up, if you're heading towards retirement, some big cuts to Social Security benefits could be on the horizon for some Americans. According to a new analysis from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, dual income couples may see $18,000 less per year if they retire in 2033. That's compared to if they retire now. The estimated 24% drop is due to a projected depletion of Social Security's Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund. Once the fund is depleted, the recently enacted Big Bill dictates that Social Security benefits will no longer be paid at the full rate. A typical single earner couple would face a cut of more than $13,000. President Trump remains in Scotland and spent Sunday reaching a framework for a major trade deal with the European Union. CBS News' Weijia Zhang has more.
On the third day of his trip to Scotland, President Trump announced that the United States and the European Union reached a framework for a trade deal after talks with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen.
But I think it's the biggest deal ever made. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
It's a huge deal. It will bring stability. It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. It's 15% tariffs across the board, all inclusive.
The deal comes ahead of Friday's deadline when 30% tariffs were scheduled to be imposed on imports from the EU. As part of the new agreement, President Trump says the EU also has agreed to purchase $750 billion worth of American energy and to increase its investments in the U.S. by more than $600 billion. Also on Sunday, the president addressed the situation in the Middle East. When asked about reports of starvation in Gaza, the president suggested that the aid the U.S. is sending to the region is being stolen.
People are stealing the food. They're stealing the money. They're stealing the money for the food. They're stealing weapons. They're stealing everything. It's a mess. That whole place is a mess.
The president said it is a critical time for Israel.
Israel's going to have to make a decision. I know what I do, but I don't think it's appropriate that I say, but Israel's going to have to make a decision.
President Trump's remarks come days after U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff cut short Gaza ceasefire talks in Qatar, after Witkoff said Hamas's response showed a lack of desire to reach a truce. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Edinburgh, Scotland.
Coming up next on News 3 Now at 5:30, Blaze Keller returns with a complete look of your First One forecast.
Well, we are going to continue to stay underneath the hot and humid conditions through at least Tuesday of this week. But the alert day only lasts until Monday. We're going to be slightly cooler Tuesday. That heat advisory also remaining in effect until 8 p.m. on Monday. So between now and I would even say let's continue drinking plenty of water and staying cool and hydrated all the way through the start of Wednesday, because we'll still be in the upper 80s to low 90s on Tuesday. The relief arrives on Wednesday, but we'll likely start to feel it Thursday, further into Friday. So we talked about the heat. Let's talk about the rain chances, because we are going to be dealing with some rain as we go over the next couple of, especially evenings. We're watching this cluster of showers and thunderstorms off into parts of the Mankato area, even further back north and west into St. Cloud, back into Watertown there along I-29 in South Dakota. This doesn't look like much now, but as these storms continue to develop more into a line, they could push their way south and eastward. Some models want to keep a lot more of that activity into parts of Iowa, which would mean we wouldn't see any rain here. But as that line continues to grow, we're going to watch to see how far east it extends. When we get lines of showers and thunderstorms, usually the southern edge of that line is the driving force behind which direction it moves. So if we see more of that westerly, southwesterly part of this line develop more, it may just push further into parts of Iowa. But we may see a shower or two make its way into far southwestern parts of Wisconsin as we go into the midnight hour onwards through the mid-morning hours on Monday. Future Track has all of this mess in and out of here between 1 and 7 o'clock on Monday morning. Strong winds and hail would be the greatest threats, so just make sure that you have a way to receive weather alerts, not only this evening, but also Monday evening as well. That's when we're going to be dealing with a little bit of rain into the start of Tuesday. Very similar starting position off into parts of western Minnesota. This will continue to race its way eastward as we go overnight into the morning hours on Tuesday. Again, this is a time of year where, because we get so hot during the daytime hours, unless there's a front to really get these things going, we wait until the mid to late afternoon to get some of these showers and thunderstorms developing, and they kind of just race as quickly as they can off towards the east or southeast. So we're going to see kind of how these play out over the next couple of hours, especially this evening. If it's looking more easterly, then we'll get impacted. If it's looking more southerly, then it'll likely push more into Iowa. In terms of severe weather, this is looking at Monday, a slight to a marginal risk. So a scattered chance in the yellow to an isolated chance for severe weather Monday. Again, strong winds and hail are going to be our main threats with any rain activity here over the next couple of evenings. Wednesday's rain chance is going to be primarily during the daytime hours. That's because the cold front moves on through. So our lows will get much more comfortable, and our daytime highs will get much more comfortable starting Thursday of next week. And really, Jalen and folks at home, I don't see any big warm-ups on the horizon, but as we go probably Sunday onwards, our humidity will start to return. So really get out there if you're not a fan of the humidity, which I've heard from a couple of people that they are not. Get out there Thursday, Friday, and you could probably stand to still be out there Saturday too before the humidity starts to return.
Were you including me in one of those?
No. This was from the viewers on the internet. I am just reiterating what they said. I'm just a third party viewer.
I mean, I'm with them, so that's why I was like.
I am also as well. It's tough. You know what? It's tough, but thankfully this doesn't look to be lasting super long. As I said, probably till Tuesday. and then onwards we'll be more comfortable.
Yeah, but unfortunately it's going to be hot the next couple of days.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be very hot.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. Coming up in sports, the Brewers have also been hot for the month of July. Even though they've dropped their last two against the Marlins and looking to get back into the win column. Could they do it? That answer next in sports. The Brewers have been hot for the month of July, 15-5 on the month so far, and they've lost two straight against the Marlins and look to get back on track this afternoon. We head to the bottom of the eighth, Brewers down 2-1, and Andrew Vaughn, who's been a revelation for the team, hits it straight down center field, bringing in Blake Perkins for the score. Then in the ninth, score still 2-2 with the bases loaded, and Blake Perkins, who had just scored, comes in clutch with a shot, another one straight down center field. He brings in Eric Haas for the walk-off RBI single. How about that? Brew Crew win it 3-2. And this week, the Crew played the Cubs in a critical series on Tuesday night that you can watch the Brewers right on our sister station, TVW Television, Wisconsin. This weekend, 5 names are etched into baseball immortality. CC Sabathia and Ichiro Suzuki headline the 2025 Baseball Hall of Fame class, who were inducted today in Cooperstown. Sabathia, of course, is a Brewers legend. In 2008, the Crew traded for the Southpaw before the deadline, and it changed the course of the franchise's history. In 17 starts with the Crew, CC went 11-2 with a 1.65 ERA and 128 strikeouts and carried the Brewers to their first playoff appearance in over 26 seasons. The beloved figure says it was his favorite summer in the big leagues. His career was commemorated in Cooperstown today.
Amber was there in Milwaukee, pregnant, when I was first traded and nervous to start with a new team. Tonight, tell your grannies, your moms, your aunts, your sisters, your wives, your girlfriends, and your daughters how much you love and appreciate them. Thank you, Baseball Hall of Fame, for making the Sabathias a part of your family.
Now to the Twin Cities for the final round of the 3M Open, and today was the Kurt Katayama show. Katayama would lead most of the day, birdieing on 12, and then he would just keep rolling. We skip to the 18th, where Katayama would par, finishing the day 23 under. Kurt Katayama is your 3M Open champ. Packers kicked off training camp on Wednesday, giving us a glimpse at what the 2025 team will look like. The Packers have had a pretty busy offseason, making some splashes in free agency and taking a wide receiver in the first round in decades. Our Jason Wilde has been in Green Bay following the team closely through the start of camp and tells us about a mythical creature that stood out at the camp so far.
How you doing, everybody? It's Jason Wilde at Lambeau Field. Have you ever seen a unicorn on a football field? Well, you may have that chance this season on the Packers defense based on what Josh Jacobs has seen from linebacker Isaiah Simmons. The Packers picked Simmons up after 3 years with the Arizona Cardinals and 2 with the New York Giants. The former 8th overall pick in the 2020 draft has been a victim of his own versatility in his previous stops. He can play linebacker, he can play safety, he can even be an edge rusher or a cornerback in a pinch. But now in Green Bay, he is being only a linebacker, and in Jeff Hafley's system, it appears that he has found a home. He's been very productive in the first 4 days of practice, and Josh Jacobs isn't the only one who's been impressed. So is Xavier McKinney, who vouched for Simmons, having played with him with the Giants in 2023. You can read all about Isaiah Simmons at channel3000.com. We'll have coverage as training camp rolls on here in Green Bay. We'll see you next time.
And with that, football season is right around the corner. Wisconsin holds their media day on Monday before heading to Platteville to kick off fall camp. Our Andrew Bancher will be with the team throughout camp, bringing you the closest coverage ahead of Luke Fickell's 3rd season leading the Badgers. And that's it for sports. A final check of your first warn forecast is coming up when we return. So, Blaze, last week we had dealt with that ring of fire, and it seems as if we hopped right back in it.
Yeah, we're not quite done yet. We will be done by about Wednesday of this week. So it is going to be a hot and humid evening. We'll hang out in the 80s through at least 10 o'clock tonight, and then we'll only settle into those low to mid 70s this evening. Some rain may move through the area. We're going to be tracking that all afternoon and overnight, just in case it does impact us and maybe we see an isolated severe thunderstorm. But we will also see the rain chances as we go into Tuesday night or Monday night into Tuesday as well. Low to mid 90s on Monday. We'll feel like the low 100s by the afternoon.
Oof. All right. Well, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze, and thank you all for joining us. 60 Minutes is up next. We'll see you back.